Hello, I'm Walter Gaskin, Secretary of North Carolina Department of Military and Veterans Affairs. Each February, during National Black History Month, we honor the African Americans who came before us and still serve now, standing for their dreams and rights, making a difference for us all. This observance presents an opportunity to highlight the contributions of African Americans, including those past and present, who have served and continue to serve in our nation's armed forces. North Carolina's African American community has answered the call of duty in every American military engagement in U.S. history. These and countless other African Americans from North Carolina have triumphed over oppression and injustice to make contributions not only in our state's military history, but even more importantly, to our American history, and deserve to have their stories told. That is why the North Carolina Department of Military and Veterans Affairs joined forces with the North Carolina Department of Natural and Cultural Resources, the State Archives, and the North Carolina Museum of History to launch the African American Military and Veterans Lineage Project to allow the public to experience this history. We hope you will join us and learn more about the journeys of Black soldiers throughout military history.
In 2018, I realized that the efforts to expand and embrace our understanding of the impact of our North Carolinian service members who broke color barriers, particularly African American, were not fully represented or being preserved for future generations.
This exhibit that we've done in partnership with the North Carolina Department of Military and Veterans Affairs. It's part of an overall program called the African American Military and Veterans Lineage Project. It's a partnership between DMVA, the Museum of History, State Archives of North Carolina, and Elizabeth City State University.
In history, I've always appreciated the stories that nobody's heard before, because you have the same stories. You have presidential histories, you have the big people histories, and these are the stories of the ignored people. I think it's really important because they contributed a lot, and they've done it already. It exists, so now it's just our job to find it and share it. Specifically with African American veterans, they made huge impacts in the state of North Carolina and continue to this day. And without their stories, we're looking at a blank part of a wall in an exhibit space, and I think it's really important to fill that gap in.
The stories that we tell in We Want It to Fight come from several places. Oral histories, interviews, and collections of papers at the State Archives of North Carolina. Others come from interviews that were done here in this museum as a part of this program. That were done by staff from the State Archives and Elizabeth City State University.
We have very few collections. Since I began as the military collection archivist, we've acquired a number of African American veterans' papers, but it's really hard to get those materials in because of a lack of trust, and also because of not collecting, not focusing on that history in the past. It's kind of a vicious cycle. But what we do have, we are trying to promote. And as part of this project, the booklet that's touring with the exhibit, we featured the stories of Elmer Gibson, who was originally from Greensboro, then Philadelphia, Bennis Blue from Raleigh, and Alfred Fowler, who is from Sanford. All three of them served at different periods from World War II to the Cold War. One was a female officer in the 82nd Airborne, one was a pioneering Army chaplain who helped integrate the Army, and the other man faced severe racism during the Vietnam War. So their stories show what different African American service people experienced as the culture and country progressed through World War II and on.
The project is important to address the unknown, to address the lack of information, to inform the citizens of North Carolina of the great efforts that the Museum of History, State Archives are doing to collect and preserve that military-rich history. So my vision is for the lineage or legacy of that African American service member to say, that's me in that picture. That's someone that I know. That's someone that created something, did something that represents me.
My favorite part of this project has been just getting the chance to interview these veterans. Unfortunately, quite a few of them passed away not long after they came here to the museum to be interviewed and to receive their public recognition. That made it Even more meaningful, I think, was being one of the last few folks to hear their stories and to know that they actually did succeed in getting their stories recorded for posterity.
We don't have a lot of stories on other minority groups. We don't have a lot of stories on Hispanic people, for example, even though there were a lot of them who were serving in the military in North Carolina, specifically at Fort Bragg. We're trying to find ways to build trust with those community groups, but also realizing that that trust has to be earned over time.
I hope that this project energizes other efforts with the Hispanic community, with the Hispanic and Latino Council, or the Native American Council, because there are also veterans that have served from those cultures and those ethnicities, to encourage them to identify them and to motivate others to share their stories for the great impact that they've done for the state of North Carolina, but as a whole for our U.S. military.
I think to have trust, you have to show that you're doing something with what you have, and that's part of what this project is about. We have the materials, we're promoting the materials so people can come and see the stories, and we're hoping that once they see themselves in the stories, that they will be more willing to share more. And with different groups around the state, that's what we're hoping. We have a lot of work to do. For years, the military collection at the State Archives collected on the home front in World War I and World War II. And although we did get some minority materials, we didn't get a lot. There wasn't a huge focus in that because of the culture of the time. So now, with culture change, we want to be changing with it and represent the wider culture of North Carolina. It's about being seen, maybe not necessarily as an individual, but as a representation of what your service meant. It's important to see all of America represented in military service, especially in our military collection. So that's why we need the public's help to tell this story.
We are all enormously proud of the North Carolina African American Veteran and Military Lineage Project and all of those who have collaborated to make this project a success so far. But there is more work to be done. We will continue to promote the roles African American service members have played in our state and our nation's history through our partnership with the North Carolina Department of Military and Veterans Affairs, interviews and artifacts collected by state archives, and displays at the North Carolina Museum of History. The voices of African American service members and veterans in North Carolina should and will be heard for years to come thanks to this project. The service and sacrifice of these brave individuals, past and present, has benefited the generations that followed. North Carolina is proud to recognize them as our own. We are dedicated to conserving and telling the unique stories of North Carolina's African American service members. If you are a veteran and would like to share your experience, please contact us. Visit ncafamlineage.com to learn more about this effort and to learn how to contribute to our collection. Again, thanks to all who helped bring these stories to life and to those who continue to ensure that these brave and patriotic service members' stories are never forgotten.